Yo, what's going on, everybody? This is Don't Talk Sports. My name is Dylan. In today's video, what we're going to be discussing is we're going to talk about the Boston Celtics in the NBA and is this season championship or bust for the team. When you look at the Boston Celtics right now, they have the best record in the NBA. They're dominating every single team they play, basically. At least all the games that they win, they pretty much, when they win, they win. They make sure you know you got your ass beat. And when you look at the Boston Celtics the past few years, they're constantly getting eliminated in the conference finals. They got eliminated in the finals of the Warriors a couple years ago. Last year, they were down 3-0. Then they came back to go tied 3-3 in the conference finals with Miami Heat. Then they lost the last game at home when they should have won, but they got the doors blown off. They made changes in the offseason. Marcus Smart left. Everybody said, oh my God, this is a bad idea. But then you look at the team this year, they have everything going for them. It looks like they have the roster. Everybody's doing their part. All the roles players are doing everything they need to do. And they also have a little bit of a nugget of like a curse or like a championship rule as the what Phil Jackson said back in the day. If you haven't heard it already, I'll talk about it later on in the video. That to where everything for them to win the title this year is going right. Are they going to execute? That's the problem. So like I said, we're going to kind of go through, talk about a whole bunch of different things with the Boston Celtics and give my reason as to is this season, like I said, it's championship or bust. They have to win it this year. So without further ado, we're going to get straight into this. So if you're going to enjoy it, as always, make sure you go and drop a like onto the video. Be very much appreciated if you do so. But without further ado, let's get into it. So first up, let's talk about the Boston Celtics roster. You can see the roster all right here. You can see everything. And I kind of want to go through, talk about some of their star players, some of the way the role players are doing, and just kind of how everybody kind of benefits the team. First up, we got Jason Tatum. Obviously, MVP caliber player. I think he's MVP caliber player. He's going to just get some MVP votes as the season goes on. He is pretty much balling out. 27 points per game. Has a close to 8 rebounds or 8.5 rebounds per game, 5 assists. He's having an electric year. Jaylen Brown, he's having about 23 points per game. Could be more, could be less. He's kind of like a hit or miss on certain nights, but when he's on, he is on. Kristaps Porzingis was one of the biggest underrated moves we saw this past offseason. He has just been lighting it up. The fact that this man can drive to the rack and get layups, get dunks, and he can also go to the back top of the key and just drain a 3 with ease. The dude is nuts. Like I said, when Marcus Smart was traded away, everybody said, okay, is Derek White going to be the replacement? And he's filled in the role pretty well. But Derek White could possibly make an all-defensive team for all we know. Drew Holiday was an underrated move getting him from Milwaukee. Milwaukee wasn't really using him that much, and Boston said, hello, we'll take him. Al Horford, he's getting older, but he still has some good role playing kind of ability with him. Peyton Pritchard has stepped in, done some great things whenever they need to have like Drew Holiday or Derek White not on the court. Peyton Pritchard, he can step in as point guard, and he can run the system pretty well. This dude right here, Luke Cornett, has been one of the most dominant centers in the league. If I'm telling you right now, underrated as fuck. Like, you might look at his stats and be like, well, he's not really doing too much. Like, he's only got like the 5 points per game. He's not really getting many assists, many rebounds. But the blocks, and you might look at the blocks and be like, well, he's only getting about a block a game. It feels like a lot more when you watch the game. Every single time I watch the games of a Boston Celtics team, no matter who they're playing, every single time a player tries to drive to the rack, he is right there ready to swat that shit out of the way. Next up, let's talk about some team stats. Kind of just looking at the team in general. When you look at offensive leaders right now, at this time, it's currently March 10th, so you got a clarification. It's March 10th. And they are currently 4th place in offensive points per game at 120 points. The only teams ahead of them, Milwaukee, Indiana, and Oklahoma City. And when it comes to the defensive leaders, they're actually 5th with only allowing 109 points per game. The only teams ahead of them are Minnesota, New York, Cleveland, and Orlando. The fact that you're top 5 in offense and defense, you're doing something right this season. Come down to points differential, 10.9 points per game. Like I said in the intro, they're blowing the doors off of teams whenever they beat them. All in all, when you look at every single one of these team categories, like I said, offense, defense, rebounds, point differential, blocks, the only thing that are not on here is for field goal percentage. This is like one of those moments where when you look at the team and you say, oh, well, maybe they needed a point guard, or they needed a center, they needed this, they needed that, maybe they needed a 3-and-D player. They have everything. You have your all-stars in Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, your MVP caliber player in Jason Tatum. You have your 3-and-D guys, you have your spot-up shooters, you have your role players, you have a bench, a pretty solid bench. Everything is there, in my opinion, for this team to make a run. And now, like I said in the intro about one of the things right here, Phil Jackson's 40-20 rule. Basically, the way this rule works is something Phil Jackson created back in the day where he said, if a team can get to 40 wins before they get their 20th loss, they are automatically going to be in the bid for winning an NBA championship. And you might say that sounds stupid, but you look here, it seems like it's been pretty accurate the past like decade and a half. As you can see here from this tweet, you look at every single team that went 40 wins before 20 losses, and it pretty much says every single team that went and won the NBA title. Did they get 40 wins before the 20 losses? Yes, they did. The only teams that did not do it was in 1995. I believe that was Houston Rockets. In 2004, I think the Detroit Pistons, and then 2006 was the Miami Heat team with Dwayne Wade, Shaquille O'Neal. 2012 does not count because that season they only went, I think, 66 games that year, and then in 2020, obviously the COVID year. But every other time, the team won 40 games before the 20-game mark. And now you may be wondering, okay, which teams are that? Is the Boston Celtics qualify under that? Yes, they do. You can see right here. These are the teams right now that qualify for that. The Boston Celtics are the only team in the Eastern Conference, which makes it pretty much obvious they should get to the finals out of the Eastern Conference. And then when you look at the Western Conference, the Denver Nuggets, the Oklahoma City Thunder, and the Minnesota Timberwolves. So in order for this curse to stay consistent for this season, it's going to have to be the Boston Celtics versus one of these three teams coming out of the West, which I can see the Denver Nuggets. That's kind of my pick right now. I think the Nuggets and the Celtics are going to be the two teams in the NBA Finals. When I look at the Boston Celtics and kind of what could go wrong, here's what I would say. The Boston Celtics only have a few issues in my mind. Number one, they got to stay consistent with their shooters, and I think one thing that is kind of the big thing is Jason Tatum. One of the big things is going to be, is Jason Tatum going to be able to stay consistent? Is he going to be able to hit the late game shots at the end? He's been taking a couple of those these past couple weeks, and he's not really been hitting them. He had the shot against Cleveland to end the game, and he ended up not hitting it. Obviously, there was a whole foul controversy. We got past that now. This wasn't a late game shot or like a buzzer beater type shot. It was the end of the third quarter. He had an opportunity against the Phoenix Suns, and he ended up missing that shot too. But it just goes to show, I think the thing with the Boston Celtics is their problem is when they get into the late game situations where a game's tied, maybe trailing by one, they don't run a play. They just go straight ISO, Jason Tatum, take the ball, go save the day, and he rarely does it. The other problem is I think they get so used to where they just steamroll teams. They're beating the shit out of teams. They don't have any competition, and there's some teams out there that are actually pretty good and they know how to come back, and the Celtics are not prepared for it, because there are times where they're up 90-50 at the end of the third quarter and the other team is just like, can we just go home now? And they literally just want to go home. But then there's other times where they might be up like 90-72 with like 6 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, and then you look at that score and you say, man, this game's over. But the other team, they don't give up. Kind of like my Cavaliers. One thing leads to another. The other team doesn't give up. The Celtics are not capable of putting the foot on the neck and killing the team, and they end up losing the game. I think that the Celtics want to really take control this year. They need to show dominance, and I think they're showing it with the way they're blowing out all these bad teams. They're basically just making it seen, hey, we can destroy the bad teams, meaning we can go out there and we are capable of actually just at least beating the good teams. So with that all being said, the Boston Celtics, like I said, bust, or it's championship or bust. You have to win this year, because if you don't win this year, I think Jaylen Brown, obviously he has the giant contract. Jason Tatum, he's going to do a giant contract. Then you kind of have to go through and figure out, are you going to be paying guys like Drew Holiday, Derek White? Is he on a big giant contract? Or all the other guys, Al Horford, like I said, he's getting older. Is he going to retire? There's a lot of different things you kind of have to figure out, and it's just going to come down to a if not now, then win kind of situation. The Boston Celtics head coach, I like him. I think he's a cool guy. The problem is he's very offensive oriented, and here lately he's gotten better with the defense. The defense has been kicking up a little bit of a notch. But the Boston Celtics, in my opinion, are turning into kind of like the Dallas Cowboys. If not now, then win kind of situation. Like, if you're not going to win a title now, when are you going to do it? But I'm going to wrap it up there. Hopefully you guys did go on to enjoy today's video. If you did enjoy it, as always, make sure you can drop a like on today's video. Be very much appreciated if you do so. If you wanted to watch the entirety of today's video, thank you very much. And like I said, if you have a different opinion, do you think it is championship or bust? Is not championship or bust? What do you think about the Boston Celtics season so far? How do you think they're going to do? Do you think they're going to win it or not win it? Leave your complete opinion down in the comment section down below. More looking to talk about it with you guys. If you're a fan of the content that I do post here and you want to go and hit that big red subscribe button, feel free to do so. And do not forget to hit that little notification bell to be notified the second I post. But without further ado, this has been Donald Talk Sports. Have a great day. Peace.